Good morning, brothers and sisters. How are you today? Okay. So it means that Xiaofang is really at work at this time. Quite early on. Yeah, I noticed some of you for these days work from home, some of you. That's why I don't see you all on the road. No lah, Shifu, I'm on the way. Huh? So how come your camp server? Xiaofang says she's on the way to work. Should be on the way to work. Huh? I'm on the way. Because she write OTW. OTW is on the way, ma. And she write on the way. This is actually there's a term for this, Yeah, I can't remember the term, but it's a very interesting thing. Where do we go to withdraw cash from the bank?
ATM.
So Marcel don't have this problem. Singaporeans usually say go to the ATM machine. Go to the ATM machine. Yeah, ATM stands for auto teller machine. So ATM machine is auto teller machine. It's like it's like many temples. Many temples, like for example, Pokat Si. So Pokat Si temple. Yeah, Pokat Si monastery, right? But Pokat Si, the Si is Hokkien for monastery already. So yeah. Any question? I have to inactivate my cam when I reach office, but since last night the server not working. Oh, bit of technical issue there. Huh? So any questions for Wednesday?
Shifu, I would like to ask a question.
Okay.
So recently I've been trying to think more about understanding non-self intellectually.
Okay.
So usually when we talk about the self, then Shifu talk about the three qualities of 长安住, 不变亦有主宰. Then I was trying to apply these qualities onto the 5 aggregates. So for instance, when I say that this cup is mine, so I will say that my ownership of this cup is not everlasting, not unchanging, and I do not have control over the ownership of this cup. And therefore that my ownership of it is not, so this cup is not mine. Is this the correct way to do it?
I would say this is one, this is maybe a way to do it. So this is, yeah, this is one angle of doing it. Another angle of doing it would be to consider. So you were from what you were describing, there may be a few layers here. One is the ownership itself. One is the thing itself. And then another one is we ourselves. Okay. So another angle would be to look at the cup and say, is the cup permanent or impermanent? Yeah. So instead of telling ourselves the cup is impermanent, to ask ourselves to consider, to reflect, is it permanent? So then from there you can consider. Of course, quite naturally for us, of course, impermanent. Then our reflection always 40 seconds done. So you can then go further and consider. First of all, was this cup always in existence in this world? Then you consider, how do you know it's not? You all naturally think it is not, right? But how do you know? So that's where the reflection can go deeper. Consider, for example, this was offered by a student, and this student got it from IKEA. So as far as my world is concerned, it didn't exist all the time. But maybe it exists in IKEA all the time. How do you know it didn't exist in IKEA all the time? So you consider the possibility of it existing in IKEA all the time is very, very, very extremely remote. Because IKEA itself didn't exist all the time. So this cup couldn't have existed all the time. Yeah. But of course, logically speaking, we know that this was fabricated, right? Yeah. So before fabrication, this don't exist. Then after fabrication exists, then it was passed from many hands, and ultimately through my student got this cup for me. And that student got me a pair. Yeah. And then I think a few weeks ago, I broke one of them. So now left with one. One day you see me stop using this, then you know I broke this one also. So so it is not so is it permanent? 长恒住. The first one, 长恒住, usually we translate as permanent. But permanent and unchanging seem to be almost identical. So 长恒住 has another quality, which is that it is is persistent. So is it persistent? Not persistent. Is it subject to change? Yeah. So instead of saying it will change, so we ask ourselves, is it subject to change? Has it a tendency to change? Yes. From the example of the other cup, which is virtually identical, yeah, that one broke. One day this might break. Yeah. Or maybe one day some students come over and then they're like, wow, this cup is so special. I say, you want? Give it to you. Then I give it away. Then while the cup still continue to persist to some extent, yeah, it's no longer under my possession. Yeah. Or maybe one day a thief come into my house, and then of all the things in the house, don't take Buddha, don't take Dharma, don't take Sangha, take the cup. Yeah. So then no more. Then how about the cup in terms of the 主宰性? So can the cup determine itself? The cup cannot determine itself. Can I determine it how it should be? Can I? To some extent. Yeah, to some extent. I can determine where it will be. I can determine to put it here, put it there, right? Can I determine for it to float in the sky? Float in the air? Cannot. Yeah. If it break, can I determine it for it to just come back again? Cannot. Can I determine it to become bigger or smaller? Maybe I feel that it's too heavy. Can I determine for it to be weightless? Cannot. Yeah. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, if one day it breaks or someone take it away from me, can I determine for sure that it will not happen? To some extent, not with 100% certainty. To the extent that there are conditions for this to still continue, it will continue. To the extent that it can continue to be within my boundary, then it belongs to me. To the extent it will belong to me. But even this body, this Chuan Guan that seem to exist, I don't have absolute control. Yeah. When we are asleep, to what extent does this belong to me? Huh? That's why when we are asleep, people can take our things and use. Right? That's why kids, they always quarrel over such things. Mommy, did he always do this? When I go to school, then he take my things and use. Yeah. So our possession of things is actually limited. Yeah, it's not absolute control over even our possessions, because even ourselves, we don't have absolute control. So that's another way to reflect on it. Yeah. The approach that you took can work also. Yeah. But if you can try both ways and see which one works for you. Yeah. There's if we want to share with other people, I find that the approach of asking them questions works better. Instead of just telling them it's impermanent, get them to reflect and see whether they see the impermanence. Yeah. So instead of telling them this is impermanent, this is changing, this is not within your control. Yeah. Instead of telling them, ask them. Yeah. And that's why you notice that many times in Dharma talks, the variables always would ask, yeah, 戒心态, like Hui Li Fa Sư, yeah, in the 80s and 90s, you know, 戒心态是让你们 he probably don't say in these exact words because his Taiwanese, his Hokkien is more power. Yeah. And in the suttas, you find that there are times where the Buddha would assert, yeah, form is impermanent, is subject to change, subject to suffering, is not fit to be considered mine, me, or myself. But many times, he would ask the monks in the form of questions. Does that clarify for you?
Yes, Fu. So just now you identified a point which I was actually very confused about, which is regarding whether I'm supposed to study the object itself and the three facets, or is it my ownership of it? Because I was wondering, for instance, when we apply it to people, usually when we talk about the three characteristics, then it links towards saying that this object is not worthy for me to consider me, mine, or myself. But when we direct it directly towards the ownership of it, I feel that perhaps it can better direct towards the self portion of it. So saying maybe not just my mother, but not just a mother, but my mother. It is this my aspect of it that I should apply these three qualities towards. Does that make sense?
So you're focusing more on the ownership part.
Yeah, the part where I call it me, mine, or myself.
So if you consider, yeah, so you notice that in the suttas, right, the Buddha don't directly apply those characteristics onto the ownership itself. Yeah, because the ownership part is linked to the last one, control. Yeah. The fact that it is not permanent, it is subject to change, subject to suffering, that you don't have control over this. Yeah. That itself indicates the fact that we don't actually have ownership. So the ownership or non-ownership is the realization, is a conclusion. You don't have to go and further apply the permanence or impermanence. Yeah. Although I wouldn't say that it is a big no. Yeah. No. Any other questions? Good to do the reflection, do such reflection. Are you all happy? Are you all happy? When students visit me, I will often ask them this question: are you all happy? Yeah. Yeah. Happiness is a very strange thing. It's not like a cup. Yeah. If I ask you, do you have a cup? Then you either yes or no? Very clear. You can see, there's a cup. I have a cup. Yes, I have a cup. But when people ask, are you happy? Then most people would take a while to consider before they answer. Yeah. Because in our whole day, don't consider whole life first. Because if you consider our whole day, I think some people may feel that they don't really have anything in particular for them to be so-called happy over. It's perhaps more obvious when it's something that get you unhappy. No? Of course, there are also occasions where you are quite clearly happy. In Chinese, there's two words. 快乐. Then the other one is 快乐, 开心, or 幸福. Yeah. In a way, 幸福 is more of the inner, the sense of that peace. Yeah. 快乐 or 开心 is very gross. Yeah. 开心 is very instantaneous, like now, Yeah. 快乐 can be a bit more longer term. 幸福 is even, more of the inner one. So are you happy? Are you happy? Maybe throughout the day, nothing much to be happy over. And then you win 4D. When you win 4D, are you happy? Should be happy, huh? Yeah. What if you win $10? Are you happy? What if you win $1,000? Are you happier? What if you win $100,000? Oh, the stakes are getting higher. So let's imagine if tonight you win $100,000. Is it possible to win 4D on Wednesday? Not possible. But let's imagine if it's possible. I don't know. Yeah, in my time, only Saturday, Sunday. Now, I heard that nowadays, like every other day is possible. But are the halls still running now with COVID? Or they just randomly 1438 anyhow come up with some number? Yeah. I just said the phone number. Later this phone number really come out. Better don't come. I hope this phone number don't come. If it come out, then the next few days, wow, morning sitting full house. For the wrong reason. But imagine now you strike, okay? And you won $100,000. Then after that, how long do you think you'll be happy over it? 1 year? Happy for 1 year? If you don't use it, then at least you keep on having the $100,000, ma. Then does it mean that you can be happy for the rest of your life? You just keep the $100,000? Can or not? Just think about it. If you win $100,000, you put it into the bank and you just don't touch it, then you always have the $100,000, ma. If you use up $1,000 every month, then after 100 months, you will be left with nothing again. Back to where you were, 100 months. How long is 100 months? Let me calculate. 100 months divided about less than 10 years. Less than 10 years. So in 10 years time, you'll be back to square one. So $100,000, if you spend it at a burn rate of $1,000, it will give you happiness for slightly less than 10 years. Yeah. Is that okay? Maybe 9 years. 9 times 12. Yeah. Slightly less than 9 years actually. Yeah. So how? So which are you going to do? Don't spend it so you can have that happiness for the rest of your life. Is that still happiness? If that is not happiness, then when you first get $100,000, isn't happiness also? If when you first get $100,000, that itself is happiness. Just having $100,000 to you without spending it is happiness. Then I tell you now, you all have $100,000 that you cannot spend. You should be happy for the rest of your life. So easy to be happy, you know. Huh? You think about it. Yeah. But actually, like that cannot give you happiness. So what must happen? You must spend that money. But if you spend that money, after spending that money, $100,000 is quite long. Let's reduce it to $10,000 or 12,000. 12,000, then within 1 year, you finish spending that. So after spending all that money, are you as happy as the first day when you won the 4D? $12,000. Not as happy. Then that means spending the money also don't really give you that kind of lasting happiness also. But nonetheless, there was that happiness. So this is described by the Buddha as the worldly happiness that lay people can have. Yeah. Of course, the Buddha didn't talk about winning 4D. The Buddha talked about earning through your effort, your livelihood, earning wealth, yeah, gaining wealth through your hard work, you get happiness. And then spending that wealth on yourself and others, yeah, your loved ones, can bring you happiness also. Yeah, but these are worldly happiness, not long-term happiness, not real happiness. Yeah, but it's happiness nonetheless. So what is happiness? Yeah. Of course, if you tell me that you are already happy, then I'm happy for you. Yeah. So if you can be happy for others, you don't have to do anything, but just be happy for others. Just go and find out whoever is successful, just be happy for them. Then you are filled with happiness every day. You don't have to win lottery. You know? But what are the good things happening in our life? When you wake up in the morning, the fact that you woke up, you should be happy. Hey, I woke up again. So every morning when you wake up, you log in, you see, hey, wow, they are still alive. And most importantly, they are devoting themselves to wholesomeness. Yeah, so be happy towards others' effort to applying themselves towards wholesomeness. You know? This is the third of the 4 immeasurables. Yeah, joy for others. So are you happy? Say yes. Notice just now I didn't say yes. Yeah, I didn't tell you to say yes. Because I want you to think about it. The morning seat is just a small part of our whole day. Yeah. Ask yourself this question. Yeah. Do this exercise. Yeah. On and off, ask yourself this question. Are you happy? Do you need reasons to be happy? Yeah. If you need one reason to be happy, you have one reason not to be happy. If you need two reasons to be happy, you have two reasons to be unhappy. If you don't need reasons to be happy, you have no reasons to be unhappy. 阿弥陀佛。愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿得智慧真明了，
愿得智慧真明了，
不愿罪障悉消除，
不愿罪障悉消除，
世世常行菩萨道。
世世常行菩萨道。
阿弥陀佛。
嗯。
Xing Hui says, appreciation makes the happiness last longer. Indeed, Have a woohoo Wednesday ahead. Bye bye. Take care. Stay safe.